Welcome to the 13th episode of the Honeybee Knits podcast. Today is Wednesday, July 19th. My name's Melissa and I'm coming to you from Southern Ohio. You can find me on Instagram as @honey_bee_knits, on Ravelry as Melissa1308, and also in the Ravelry group Honeybee Knits podcast. You can also find me on Etsy as honeybeenknitsco.etsy.com. Thank you for joining me if you're a new viewer, and if you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And I did want to say that this isn't going to be one of my best videos. If you follow me on Instagram, you know why. I'm not going to get into it here. But I do have some content for you. I don't think it's going to be a very long episode, but I do have a giveaway prize winner, actually 3 winners to announce, as well as an FO, a hoe, and a whip. So I have a few acquisitions, not as many as normal. If you've been watching my previous podcast, you know that I've been trying to cut back a little bit on my acquisitions. And I've also been destashing a little bit for Stash Down 2017, which is an active thread in the Ravelry group right now. So go check that out. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right in and get started. I do have another FO this week. Go me. That's like 4 weeks in a row. But it is another pair of socks. So I know you guys are probably getting tired of seeing the socks because I do knit a lot of them. But I promise some shawl content to come soon, especially with the Whip It Thursday call, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So this is, I showed these last week as a whip, and these are my Desert Vista Dye Works July socks in the Zumbodies Eaten Cotton Candy colorway. And I really like how these turned out. I'm normally pretty good about matching up my yarn before I start so that I get a close to matching skein, a close to matching pair of socks. But for some reason this pair and the last pair I did have been way off, and I'm not exactly sure why. I'm not sure if it's my gauge is changing between socks or if I'm not starting in this right spot, but I can hold these up to each other and you can kind of see that they started out in pretty much the exact same spot and they just kind of got off as they went up. And by the time they got to the heel, it was pretty obvious. And then it was super obvious by the time I got to the toe. But it doesn't really bother me. These socks are for me, so I don't mind wearing mismatched socks. In fact, I wear mismatched socks all the time. And I like them. This is in her Zen base, which is her sparkly base, which I love. She's got some super sparkly yarn. And yeah, I'm really happy with these. These are one of my favorite colorways I've knit from her. And I did want to mention that when I started buying Desert Vista Dye Works socks, I felt like I had to have all of the collection, all of the yarns in a single collection. So if you're not familiar, what she does is she has themes and then she dyes quite a few, normally between 4 and 8 different colorways for that theme. So for example, she had a Wizard of Oz theme and she had a what was the other one? Walking Dead theme. And I purchased all of the yarns in those lines. And what I've started to do is, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but I really went through my stash, and I don't know if you can tell over here, my yarn mountain has decreased quite a bit. I went through all of my stash and I picked up each individual skein of yarn and I said, is this something I could potentially knit within the next year? And if it was, I kept it. And if not, I put it for sale on Ravelry. So I had about, and to be fair, there were skeins that I kept that I probably won't knit within the next year, but I just really love them and I was attached to them in one way or another and wanted to keep them. For example, I have a skein of Cyborg Craft Room, and if you're not familiar with her story, the maker behind that passed away about a year ago, and it's just really special yarn to me because I did love her yarn, and it's the only skein I have left. So I don't know that I will ever knit that up, which is probably kind of silly because I'm sure she would want me to make it into something beautiful, but it's just kind of hoarding it for now. But the amount of yarn that I've had in my stash has been very overwhelming, especially with how many purchases I've had come in over the past couple months. Between the Kentucky Fiber Festival, we went to the Simply Sock Yarn anniversary sale, and in addition to that, I've been stress shopping because I've been sick, and as well as some other stuff. So, and when I get stressed, I shop. So I've had a ton of acquisitions come in over the past couple months, and it was just getting overwhelming to the point where I didn't know where I was going to put it if it came in. So I did do a huge de-stash, and I got rid of a little over 40 skeins so far. There are still about 100 skeins over there in my de-stash. So if you are looking to enhance your stash, or if there's a particular dyer or colorway that you're looking for of a particular yarn, go check out my de-stash on Ravelry, and I might have it in there. So anyway, that's my spiel on that. I got my finished socks, and I'm really happy with them. They're going to hang on my shelf until winter time, or at least fall, because I normally don't wear socks in the summer unless I'm sick or it's super rainy outside and we get a cold draft. But my house stays, our house is newer, and we have all the energy efficient windows and whatnot, so heat gets trapped inside my house. And in the summertime, we normally have to keep our thermostat on about 69, which is actually pretty low. I know growing up, I think we kept it around 73 or so. So we have to keep our house at 69 because the air doesn't circulate very well, and it gets really stuffy, especially in the loft, which is where my crafts room is, and it's where I podcast from. So anyway, normally don't wear socks in the summer, so these are going to be added to my collection to the rotation for fall and winter time, and I'm really happy with how those turned out. So I haven't picked out my August Desert Vista Dye Works socks yet, but again, like I said, I've been doing some de-stashing, so I'm good. I know that whatever skein I'm going to pick, I'm going to love, because the only Desert Vista Dye Works skeins that I kept were the ones that I was absolutely in love with. So I don't know, I'll move the camera up for a second. This is my Desert Vista Dye Works shelf, and I used to have Desert Vista Dye Works going all the way up to here. Since I've started podcasting, I think I've knit about 3 or 4 skeins from that collection, and everything else I've given away, and I think I've actually just sold 6 more, which is somebody messaged me interested in the rest that I had up for sale. So I actually currently don't have any Desert Vista Dye Works left for sale, but if this sale falls through or whatnot, I'll let you guys know, or you can go take a look and see if there's any still out there. I also have a half object, and I knit my husband a pair of socks. It's super bright. I love it. Let me see if I can get the tag. So if you've watched my previous podcast, you know that my husband's a Seahawks fan, and there are several different variations of the Seahawks colors, but I was looking for a self-striping variation, and at the time I came across Berry Colorful Yarnings on Etsy, and it looks like she has her own website too, berrycolorfulyarnings.com. This is Berry. And she actually does custom dyed orders. You can pick 2 or 3 color skeins and tell her what you're looking for, and she'll make it up for you. So I requested her to make a Seahawks colorway. And this yarn is 25% nylon, 75% merino, 4-ply yarn, 463 yards per 100 grams. So she dyed me up this, and my husband loves them. So last week I mentioned that my husband was insisting that I make him a pair of socks out of nowhere. I talked about how he's the type of guy that wears flip-flops in the winter to shovel the driveway. So I was really surprised, and he gave me a deadline to cast on by, and that was Monday. I cast this on Monday. I finished this sock last night, and he's really happy with it. It's the perfect type of sock that he likes. It's a little bit shorter than an ankle sock. These are called shorties. So I cast on 64 stitches because he's got small ankles, and I did 3 rows of ribbing. I knit 11 rows of stockinette. I put my heel in, and then I knit 60 rows along the foot and did a rounded toe with a Kitchener bind off. So these were super easy and super quick. You can see a little bit of laddering, and I think that's just jogging from where the stripes changed, because you can't really see it in between the repeats. So, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. I'll probably get him at least 2 pairs of socks out of the ball, and he's excited to have them. He put this on his foot last night and didn't want to give it back so I could share it on the podcast, so that's a good thing. And he says that he's going to wear them, so hopefully he does. So hopefully you guys will be seeing a lot more of these shorty socks from me, because if he actually likes these and wears them, I'm going to make him a whole bunch. And he says that I think the problem is when he tried on my hand knit socks before, they didn't fit to him, so they weren't very comfortable for him. So he says that these are super comfortable, and he wants all hand knit socks now, which is exciting because I've been trying to get him to let me make him socks for years. So I'm excited to finally make some socks for somebody else that I know is going to really appreciate it. I talked before about how my husband's not very knit-worthy, and I have not changed my mind about that yet. But from his reaction to these yesterday, he didn't have anything negative to say, which is good for my husband. He's OCD, and he doesn't mean anything bad by it, but things for him basically have to be perfect, or he worries or stresses about it. So the fact that he didn't have a negative thing to say about it makes me feel good about these. It's a really cool colorway, and I'm excited to sorry, I don't think I mentioned this before, but I have a cat that I've had since I was 10 years old, and he sometimes has a hard time breathing. He has asthma, and he is also allergic to cat dandruff. So he's allergic to himself, and he gets these colds, and when he gets these colds, he gets stuffed up, and then he gets like these asthma attacks where he coughs. And there's been a few times where I've had to pause the podcast while recording and wait for him to get done with one of his fits so that I can start recording again. But I thought that he was going to have another one of those, so that's why I paused. But anyway, so yeah, these are the socks, and I'm really happy with them. And I look forward to getting the other one off the needles. He asked if they were going to be done today, and I told him it depends on how much I get done in the podcast, or how quickly I get the podcast done, but most likely they will be done tomorrow. I haven't cast on the second sock yet. Like I said, I just finished it last night, and that is in my Crafty Mama Designs bag. I love this bag, and Levi has, from WTF Knitting Podcast, he has a little red Progress Keeper that looks exactly like this fox, and it would match this bag perfectly. So I'm going to have to message him and find out where he got that from. I think he made it. Now my cat's getting into my bags over here. So, and I also wanted to mention, because I've had quite a few questions on this previously, and I know I've mentioned it quite a few times, but just for those of you that don't know, I have my yarn in what's called a skein coat, and this is from Precious Knit Shops on Etsy. And basically it just keeps your ball from collapsing in on itself and unwinding and getting tangled. And I really love it. It makes it easy when I'm done with the project to just ball up the rest of the yarn and without it getting all tangled. So I was going to wait to talk about this, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it now. Levi from WTF Knitting Podcast and I are hosting a joint knit along called Whip It Thursday Call. So there's a hashtag that's been created on Instagram, and it's Whip It Thursday KAL, or it's hashtag Whip It Thursday KAL. And the idea is that you grab at least one night a week or one day a week, you grab an old whip, a languishing whip, which for us means that it's probably 2 months older. But if you don't have one that's 2 months older, it's a project that you really want to have finished, or that you really want to cast on. So the idea is, like I said, is that you just grab those projects and you work on them until they're done. And it runs now to the end of September. So I'm hosting the call in my Ravelry group, the Honeybee Knits podcast group, and I have a whip thread and an FO thread. We've already had our first FO, and it was a sweater, guys. So that is fantastic that we can motivate somebody who's been working on a sweater for a long time to actually finish it. The whip thread, there's been quite a bit of chatter in there. Everybody's been going back and forth, showing some projects that they've been working on and telling stories about how long it's been since they've cast it on. So that's exciting to see. So I participated last week, and I'm making the Color Craving Shawl by Stephen West. And this is my oldest whip. It's about 1.5 years old. I cast it on Christmas of 2015. And last time I showed this, it looks different now because I actually ripped out everything that I had done, which wasn't much, and I recast it on because I wasn't happy with how the colors were mixing, and I kept the same colorways. I just am putting them in a different order. So here's what that's the back. Here's what I have left. Last time you saw this, it was pink and teal, which I'll show you the other colors in a second. But, and I was probably about twice as far on it. So on this past Thursday, if you follow me on Instagram, you know that I've been dealing with a lot. But in addition to that, there were some storms that rolled through and knocked out my mom's internet. And she had some classes she had to do for work. So her and my stepdad came over for dinner and last Thursday, and we played rummy. So literally I didn't have a whole lot of time to work on this. I will say though that I had gotten to this, I cast it on with these colors, I frogged it, I cast it on with these colors, got to about here, and I was like, these sections in the middle don't look right. And so I frogged it again and redid it. And what I was doing wrong is in the pattern, and I'm not going to give the pattern away, but it does say anytime, so when you're going back, you do a knit one, purl one into a yarn over. And for some reason, and probably because most patterns, it says knit one through the back, keep it on the needle, purl one through the front. So that's what I was doing. But in this case, in this pattern, you're actually knitting through the front and purling through the front. So my stitches were turning out weird in between. And if I recall correctly, the first time I cast this on with my first combination, I did the exact same thing and had to cast it on again. So I literally started this project 4 or 5 times. But I have heard this isn't the favorite pattern for most people to knit, but I really want the finished object in these colors, so I'm going to keep on going on it. So I will show you my colorways. I'm using my, I started out using my Knitter's Pride Dreams, which are the wooden ones, but they're just not sharp enough for me. These used to be my favorite, and now since I switched to metal needles, I can't use them anymore. I can't find a project that I really like them to use them for. So I switched to Knitter's Pride Melody. You guys have seen these before, and right now they're my favorite shawl needles to use. My color A is this, and this is Tosh Merino Light, so it's a single, and this is paper. There's the tag for it. It's 100% superwash merino wool, 420 yards per 384 meters. Oh, sorry, 420 yards per 100 grams. My color B is Pop Rocks. There's the tag for it. And my color C is Button Jar Blue. Which again, my teals do not show up in my camera. I don't know if they show right on your screen that you're watching this on. But it's more of a green blue. And there in the camera it's showing more of a light blue. So it's definitely green blue. If you're interested in seeing that colorway, I know you can go on Jimmy Bean's Wool and they have it in stock and they have a better photo of it. So, but there's the tag for that. So those are my 3 colorways, and that is my Whip It Thursday shawl. So I also need to mention that Levi is hosting the Instagram portion of the knit along. So if you post pictures of what you're working on and use the hashtag Whip It Thursday call, then he is actually going to go in there and pick a random winner, and this for giveaways. And I don't know if it's going to be weekly or bi-weekly. or how often he's going to do it. But this week he's actually given away one of my bags, so which is really exciting. So if you're interested in that, go follow him. He's WTF Knitting on Instagram. And also when you post your photos of your whips, make sure to use the hashtag WhipItThursday, KAL. I'm going to draw for that on his podcast on Saturday. So make sure that you're using it before Saturday, and make sure that you watch his podcast to see who won. In addition to that, I draw for 3 pattern prize winners based on the people that are participating in the threads. And next week, 2 of the 3 winners are going to come from that thread. So make sure that you're going out there and participating in that thread for a chance to win a pattern prize of your choice. So that leads us to my next project, which I haven't really done a whole lot of work on, but I don't know that I showed it last week. It's my Scrappy Crochet corner to corner blanket. And I think last time you guys saw it, it was about at this blue section here. So I've gotten a little bit done on it. It's definitely getting wider. I'm really happy with how it's turning out. And I love it. So I'm going to keep working on it and try to get some more done on it. I did get a lot of great feedback because I know I asked last week about turning this corner to corner from a square to a rectangle, and I've gotten a lot of great feedback of how you increase on one side only to once it's to the width that you want, to make it into a rectangle. So I do know how to do that now. Some people found some great tutorials that they sent me. So I am going to check those out when I get this wide enough, and I'm going to turn it into a rectangle. And I'm really excited that I can actually do that because I thought for sure that I couldn't. So thank you everybody for those recommendations. And as you can see, it's still, there's still areas where it's a heavier weight yarn where it's kind of like wavy, but it's nothing like what it was before. And I think that the only time I see I don't want to say this because you never know, but the only time I see myself in the future crocheting is for a scrappy blanket like this. So, and I think this is how I'm going to make them all. So I'm really excited to keep working on that. I'm going to try to set aside at least an hour every week, which shouldn't be a problem, to crochet on that. And if you're looking for my spinning, I know I said I was going to have half of the rest of the bat spun, but I didn't spin it all this week. It just wasn't a good week for that. So that leads us to plan projects. And again, you guys know all my plan projects. So, because I've talked about them, I think 2 podcasts in a row, maybe 3 now. So, I want actually 3 or 4. So I've been trying to cast this stuff on for about a month, and I need to just do it, but set aside time, but it's been a busy week. So my Canterlot Fingerless Mittens by Shelby Hamden. I showed in the podcast last week that I got a DK version of her colorway Gracie from Sparkling Seaweed. And I'm going to knit it out of those. And she actually has a knit along going from July 5th to August 16th for the mittens. So make sure you follow her on Instagram. Or on Ravelry. She's the Defiant Knitters podcast on Ravelry. And she's hosting a knit along for that. So I plan to cast those on when I am finished with my husband's socks. And then also my Sorrento shawl by Marcia of the Fairy Little podcast. And I showed the yarn that I'm going to use for that as well. I'm using the Handmaiden yarn. So I'm excited to get that started. And hopefully I have both of those casted on by the next time you see me. I'm hoping to have the Canterlot mittens done by the next podcast. They look pretty simple. Like, it's got a nice elegant lace pattern in it, but from what she says, it's more of a beginner lace, so it should be pretty simple to knit up. So then that leads us to acquisitions. So I am going to start with a really special acquisition, and this is 3 weeks in a row that I've raved about her yarn, and I need to cast one of these on. This is going to be one of these skeins is going to be my next planned cast on after I get the Canterlot mittens casted on and the Sorrento shawl. So Lori from Arkansas Yarn Company sent me a message a few weeks ago saying that she was dyeing up another skein for me. And if you'll recall, she dyed up a colorway for me that was inspired by my dog Root Beer. as kind of like a, she just said that she was inspired by us to make it, and she, you know, she wanted to send us something nice. So, so I showed that a few weeks ago, and then she messaged me and said that she was dyeing up another colorway for me, which is crazy. And she showed it to me, and I've known about it for a few weeks now, and I'm so excited to show you guys because this is so incredibly special and it's beautiful, and I'm really excited about it. So I'm gonna what do you guys think? Do you know what this is called? It's the Honeybee Knits colorway. So guys, I have a colorway named after me, and this was not planned, but I wore yellow today. And it's the perfect colorway. This is, if I could have created a colorway to model my podcast, this would be it. So, you guys, I'm really excited to make this into something special. I have a plan for it. I wanted to cast this one on right away. And, oh, guys, and it's Sparkle. She messaged me, and she's like, I have this dyed up, but it's not on Sparkle, and I could dye it on Sparkle if you want. And I was like, yes, please. So, I got Sparkle, and her yarn, I've raved about it before. You guys will love it. So, I figured out what it reminds me of. So if you're familiar with Hedgehog Fibers, they have two different sock bases. They have a regular sock base and they have a twist sock base. I'm not a fan of their regular sock base. It's only got 10% nylon in it. So for me, it's not very pleasurable to work with. It does make a nice fabric once you're finished knitting with it and finished blocking. But for me, it's too splitty. So they have a twist sock base that I love even more that actually has more nylon in it. And this reminds me of the twist sock. So, from Hedgehog Fibers. So you guys definitely need to check out her yarn if you're looking for a really great base, that has that nice springy, squishy, but it's not too fluffy. I know I love different bases of yarn because you can have a base of yarn that's super fluffy, and I love those. But this one is this is going to have more of like a drape to it. And it's going to be beautiful, and I can't wait to use it. And like I said, I have a plan for it. And look at the way she packages it. This is just gorgeous. And it shows off all the colors so well. But anyway, so I have a plan for this. It's going to be cast on after my root beer colorway, which I also have a plan for, which I'm not ready to share yet. But we're doing a collaboration with Root Beer. And Root Beer is in her shop right now. And I'm going to let her know once I post this video to let her know that I did announce the colorway. She is going to have this in her shop. And in addition to that, I wanted to say a huge shout out to her. So I wanted to tell you congratulations, Lori. She has been contacted by an actual brick and mortar shop to carry her yarn. So she did message me and say this is going to be I'm not sure what the shop name is. I don't know that she's released that yet. But just follow her on Instagram, and I'm sure at some point or another she'll say it. But yeah, she is going to offer this as part of the collection that is going to that shop. So that's really exciting. And again, Root Beer, the colorway Root Beer is in her shop right now. So if you're interested in purchasing that, go check it out. And then in addition to that, I showed this last week. When I podcasted, I pulled it up on my phone to show because I had to have it. Guys. And she made it on Sparkle for me. So this is limited edition sparkling saltwater taffy, and her yarn is 438 yards per 100 grams. So this is saltwater taffy, and it is one of the prettiest yarns I have ever seen in my life. I love this. I have to open it up because, guys, you have to see all these colors together. There's green and blue and pink, and it's just the perfect amount of dye. I mean, and then the sparkle, her sparkle base isn't, look, there's yellow. Oh, I love this so much. And it reminds me the, like, it reminds me of the beach. It reminds me of, and I've never been to Arkansas. I don't know what kind of, you know, attractions they have there. But as a kid in the summertime, we would go to Myrtle Beach every year to vacation with our family. Sometimes twice a year. We would go in the spring and the summer. Oh my goodness. I'm not as good at scanning these up as she is, but so beautiful. But we would go to Myrtle Beach every year. And we would always go to those little gift shops, and they would have these boxes of saltwater taffy. And this reminds me of it so much. She, like, literally, this takes me back. They also, and also the snow cones. They have a little snow cone shop on the beach, and we would go to it almost every day. And she has a colorway called Rainbow Snow Cone. So I need to get that one as well, because you guys, like, these colorways, it just takes me back to my childhood. And, you know, I've mentioned this before. I feel like I have such a connection to Lori, and I feel like she's known me all my life, because, I mean, like, it's like we think the same. Seriously. How did she know that, like, in my brain, this is what I see when I think of the vacation memories I've had? Like, how does she know that and turn it into a colorway? I don't know. We're definitely, I think, yeah. So, the other thing I wanted to mention that's really special about this, she's so fantastic. Do you guys know what this is? She sent one for you guys as a giveaway prize. So, if you're interested in getting the Honeybee Knits colorway, this is going to be a part of the prize pack for our Whip It Thursday call. So, like I said, that knit along ends at the end of September. So make sure that you're working on your whips and getting your FOs in the thread, because this is a very special skein of yarn. And I'm excited. This one is not sparkle though. She did say that this is sparkle and this is not. So this one is not sparkle, but it's still that colorway, and I'm really excited for you guys to have it. And she has it packaged up really nicely. So make sure you are participating in that. So, also, I've had some questions about the Desert Vista Dye Works knit along that she has. She has a sock knit along where I mentioned before, make 3 socks in 3 months, you get 30% off in her shop. If you make 6 socks in 6 months, you get a free skein of DVD yarn of your choice, which I've already emailed her my choice, so I should be getting that next month. And after 9 months, you get another 30% off in her shop. And after 12 months, you get a special skein that she dyes up just for the people that have made 12 pairs of socks in 12 months. So I'm up to 7 now. I will start 8 in August. But she also has her Instagram prize giveaways. And basically, if you use the hashtag, you have to create a hashtag. So, for example, mine is DVD Instagram 2017 Melissa Lukowski. So it's DVD Instagram 2017, your name, and then you put whatever post it is. And for each level of posting you do on Instagram, she also sends you prizes. So I am up past 50, so I just hit the 50 mark, the halfway mark, because you can go up to 100 in June. So I'm on track to hit 100 by the end of the year. And so I already got my first 3 months. Every 3 months she sends you the prizes. She calculates it and sends you the prizes. So I got my first 3 months a while back, and I'm not sure that I showed it on the podcast, but I think I got some stitch markers and scissors in a little bag. So this time I got some needle cozies, and I don't have my needles out to show you. But basically, you just stick your needle in that little hole, and it keeps your yarn from popping off your needle. And then I got this little key fob, which this pattern, if you're not familiar with Desert Vista Dye Works, is similar to her logo pattern that she has. Like a nice zipper pull on a project bag or on your keys or something like that. And I also got a package of 5 minis for my scrappy blanket. So check that out if you're interested. That was my second round of prizes. And then also, I'm sure you've heard of it, but there's a group on Etsy on Ravelry called Sock Yarn Swappers. And she basically partners with a bunch of indie dyers, and they send her between, I think, 10 and 20 colorways, and she makes them into mini skeins and sends them out so that you can check, so that you can sample indie dyers yarn, which is genius. And all of mine go into my Starkround bucket. So I've done quite a few swaps. I've stopped doing them recently because I think each swap is between $25 and $40 depending on the dyer and the amount of minis that you get. So for example, this one is Vivid Yarn Studio, and they are 20 yard minis, and I think there's at least 20 of them. There's 20. Let me see. Yeah, there's 20 minis in here. And as you can see, she puts a tag on here with the colorways. The only thing that I don't like is that the names on here it's hard to match them up to here unless you know that dyer. And unless they have it in stock, or you can go on their website and check it out and see. But for example, this one right here, I know is her rainbow colorway because I have a full skein of it in worsted. So, yeah. So check that out on Ravelry if you're interested. I have this box that fits into my cabinet over here, and it is just filled with minis. So what I do when I purchase these, or I do a mini swap, is I just throw them all in there, mix them up, close my eyes, pick 10 out, and then those are the 10 that I randomly work on my Cozy Memories blanket with, which I haven't worked on in a really long time, by the way. But, so yeah, it's really exciting. You never know how it's going to turn out. There's a lot of great different dyers and colors in there, and it's fun trying to remember and guess who's who. Most likely I won't remember, but if I'm really curious about something, I can go back and look at, the swaps that I purchased and try to match them up. For example, I think this one, which I'm pretty sure this is Knitterly Things, but I probably need a full skein of that. One time I had a mini from Desert Vista Dye Works that I got in a swap, and I wasn't sure what colorway it was. And I just tagged her on an Instagram post and said, hey, can you tell me what colorway this is? And she did. And it was actually this colorway right here. So I ended up buying a full skein and making socks out of it. So anyway, if you're interested in some mini organizational solutions, I recommend this because I have a crap ton of minis. And I will be adding this to that pile when I get done podcasting. My next acquisition I actually ordered in April. And I ordered, so it's by Yarn Enabler, and she has a 2-month yarn subscription. And she's the dyer that is famous for the pencil crayon socks. The pencil socks. So I ordered, she has a white wine version and a sangria version. And each one she ships out, she does 2 months. So for example, this was the May-June box. So I ordered it in April and I got it at the end of June. Or actually I just got it, but she sends it out at the end of June. I'm still waiting on my sangria one. For some reason they got separated and I haven't gotten that one yet. But she sends you a classic version of her pencil socks, as well as a skein of just a regular solid in case you want to mix them. So this was the white wine version this month. So it's called Tornado. So this is the solid color, and the tag's fallen off, so you can't really show it too well, but that's the solid color. It's 420 yards per 115 grams. 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And then this is her pencil sock interpretation. So she's got, so the gray and the pink is for the metal around the top of the pencil and the eraser. And then this brown is for the actual like wood part of the pencil. And this is for the tip of the pencil. and this is for the main part of the pencil. And basically these are socks. So I like it. It's not in my normal color range, which I think is a good thing. That's why I do some of these random mystery yarn clubs, because I do want to get stuff that is out of my comfort zone. It's not my favorite, and I'm really excited to see what the sangria is, but I don't think I'll be doing this again, at least not anytime soon. When I originally did it, my thought was that I wanted a collection of all the different colors of pencil socks, because once she dyes these for the club, she does not dye them again. So I was afraid that she was going to have a pencil colorway that I was going to miss out on. But again, I'm kind of past that point. I don't need to have all the different collections. And I'm thinking that this might be a giveaway. One of these skeins might be a giveaway eventually. Because, like I said, they're outside of my comfort zone. And I do want to keep at least one of them, but I'm not sure which. But look for that in a possible future giveaway. And my last acquisition is I got my July monthly sock club from the Cozy Knitter. The Cozy Knitter and the Yarn Enabler have a joint podcast together called Dye Another Day. But the Cozy Knitter is famous for her self-striping yarn. So spoiler alert, if you have not received your July Yarn of the Month from the Cozy Knitter, look away now. But this is it. And this is called Be My Belle. And I'm assuming that this is probably a Beauty and the Beast reference. I'm thinking because this yellow reminds me of Belle's dress and whatnot. So it's a very subtle colorway. Again, it's outside of my comfort zone, outside of my palette, but I really, really love this, and it'll be a great pair of socks. And I do want to mention that I haven't knit a pair of socks from her yarn yet. I've been hoarding it, but the more I get, the more I know I want to knit it. And I'm going to. Probably in August or September, I'm going to cast on some socks from her. But this is, again, called Be My Belle, Cozy Knitter. It's 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon. And this is 420 yards per 115 grams. And she always splits up. So she gives you 80 grams in the main color. And she gives you 35 grams, I believe, 30 grams. Okay, so this is 85 grams in the main color and 30 grams in the mini for heels, cuffs, and toes in a coordinating color. So yeah, I'm really happy with this, and I'm really excited to add that to my collection. So that is my that completes my acquisitions for this week. Next week I'm not going to have that many because I actually have not made a purchase in about a week now. So it's been almost a week since I made any purchases. I still have stuff coming in, but again, I'm just trying to be reduce the amount of stress in my life, and the size of my stash was becoming stressful, and I don't want something that I enjoy to become stressful. So, and not to mention, we have so much stuff we want to do around the house that we've been putting off, and I realized that if I just cut back a little bit, that I can actually afford to pay for some of the stuff that we want to do. So that'll be helpful. This week we actually don't have a shop of the week. I am actually going to change the format of this segment in the future. We still will have shop of the weeks, but more than likely what it will be is I'll be doing a yarn review. I feel like I really enjoy showing you guys the products that I'm receiving and picking a special shop to focus on each week. But I really want to be able to be more informative than that, than just saying, hey, this is our shop of the week, here's their yarn. So because of that, there may be some people that have been, some indie dyers or shops that have been shop of the week previously that you will see again, but mainly because I'm going to be casting on their yarn and using it, and I want to give an honest review of it. So Just a heads up that that's coming. I don't know that it'll be next week. I might cut that segment out for next week. I have a lot going on right now, and it's going to take a little bit of planning because I'm going to need to cast on yarn and work with it a little bit before I give a review. So we'll see how that goes in the future. Just a heads up for you guys that have been with me for a while and are used to that. I'm going to change it up a little bit. And that leads us to giveaways. So this week, our Speckled Sparkle call ended, and I locked the thread in the Ravelry group, so there are no more entries allowed. We had 31 finished objects, which is really exciting. There were some really great projects in there, and I drew for prizes this morning. So there were a few new patterns mentioned in the Plug Your Business and podcast thread. Two of our winners are going to receive those patterns, and one of our winner, I have put together a prize package. The first winner I pulled is going to receive the Nala shawl, and this is a shawl that was released in honor, this is a shawl that was designed by Skyly Knits, which she's been a winner on our podcast previously. And the shawl was released in honor of their child that inspired the pattern. She has autism, and a portion of the proceeds from each of the sales of that pattern actually is being donated in her honor. So this is actually something that's very near and dear to my heart. I have two cousins that I have a cousin that has kids with special needs and autism. So it is something that is near and dear to my heart, and I think it's a beautiful pattern and it's a great way to give back. And so I am donating. The first prize winner is going to receive that. So that is post number 26, which is Tripless from Harrisonburg. And she made a pair of socks, and she's actually a new member of the Ravelry group. And I think she's been watching the podcast from the beginning. She just joined the Ravelry group though. But she made a pair of socks using the Mustache Yarns speckled color, that one of her new speckled colorways. And I love Mustache Yarns, so that's really exciting. So congratulations. If you could get in touch with me, I'll make sure to get that pattern to you. The second winner is going to win a shawl by one of our viewers called the No Prisoners Wrap. And that is inspired by her favorite Harry Potter character, which is Sirius Black, and I love Sirius Black, so that is pretty awesome, and it's a beautiful wrap, and it's actually really big, so I will probably have to knit that at some point. But the winner of that is post number 17, and that's Lakey B, and she made a sparkly sockhead hat, which that is one of my goals, is to make a sockhead hat. So congratulations. If you could get in touch with me, I'll make sure to get that pattern to you. And then we have our main prize winner. So I'll show you the prize package first. So I purchased this bag for myself from Molly Klein Designs. But again, with me trying to de-stash, I'm also trying to get rid of a few project bags. And then they make great giveaways. And this is one of my favorite bags that I purchased from her. So I wanted to share that with you. And it's 4th of July themed, and I know we're past 4th of July, but we're still in July, so I figure you can probably use this all summer. To me, this is more of a summery bag. You can use it for Memorial Day. I just really like it. I like the boats and the fireworks, and it just reminds me of summer, so I'm going to give this away. Along with, I wanted to find a skein yarn that kind of matched, and I found this in my stash. Oops. And this is called Americana Style. And it's Madeline Tosh Pashmina, and it's 75% merino wool, 15% silk, 10% cashmere. It's a sport weight yarn. It's 360 yards per 100 grams, and yeah, I really love this yarn, and I think it'd make a really cool pair of socks, sport weight socks, or hats, or even mittens. So, and in addition to that, they will receive a pair of one of my favorite types of scissors. I have these in my Notions pouch, and I take them with me wherever I go, from Stunning String Studio. So they'll receive that as well. So this is the prize package, and the winner of that is post number 20, which is OCD Knit Case, and that's Diane from Quebec, Canada. And she made a speckle paired mittens. So congratulations, Diane. If you could get in touch with me with your address, I will send that out to you in the mail. So congratulations to all the winners. Thank you to all the participants. I really enjoyed seeing all of your guys' prizes I really enjoyed seeing all of your guys' finished objects and whips, and it was a really fun knit along to partake in. So our current knit alongs is the year-long sock knit along, which the July thread, it closes August 2nd, which is before my podcast, and I showed the prize package for that 2 episodes ago, so if you're interested in seeing that. It is a project bag from Crafty Mama Designs, as well as a skein of yarn and a little goodie. So make sure that you are entering your socks into that knit along. Any socks that you knit between July 1st and July 31st. And I also have my Stash Down 2017 knit along. I declared 406 skeins originally, and then I decided I was going to add the skeins from the whips that I have because I want credit for finishing those projects this year. So I think I ended up at 450 some crazy skeins, and I've destashed about 40 of that through selling and giveaways. So I'm doing really well, and too bad I can't win prizes. But anyway, so make sure that you're going out there and declaring the amount that you're starting with. And then as you finish projects or sell a yarn or give away a yarn or get more yarn in, you're going out there and you're adding a line for those totals. So you'll have, I know I've explained this before, but just one more time. So you'll have your starting total, you'll have your stash in and your stash out. And your stash out will be used in giveaways. So that's exciting. So that goes to the end of the year, and we're going to have some really great prizes throughout the year, as well as a huge grand prize at the end of the year. And then also we have our Whip It Thursday call, KAL, which I already mentioned, is being hosted jointly with me and with Levi of the WTF Knitting Podcast and myself. I think I pretty much explained all the rules. If you have any questions or concerns, you can check out the rules. They're posted on the threads in my Ravelry group. And if you have any additional questions, be sure to reach out to Levi or myself. We'll be more than happy to answer those for you. And that goes through the end of September. My next pattern draw for participation in the Ravelry group will be on July 26th. So make sure you're watching in the next episode and make sure you're participating in the threads between now and then. And also make sure if you have a podcast or a business or you're a designer, you're letting me know in the Plug Your Business podcast thread. I do use that thread to pull winners and I use that thread to obtain prizes for winners. So I purchase prizes for winners through that thread, such as the pattern giveaways. And I also pull a random podcaster once a month to send a giveaway package for their podcast too. So if you're interested in winning one of those or participating in that, please reach out to me and let me know. And in addition, make sure you're posting in that thread. One other knit along that I wanted to mention is the Knit for Brains podcast is doing a Furry Friends knit along from July 24th to October 31st. I'm sorry. So July 24th to October 31st. I am not 100% sure on the details. I think it is posted in the Ravelry thread, but if not, make sure to check out their episode 2 episodes ago. They talked about it, and last episode they talked about it. But I believe you can knit either a blanket or a little toy or something for an animal and donate it to your local shelter. And if you don't have a local shelter that accepts donations, you can contact them and they will get it to a shelter that donates. And anytime you do that, you post a picture in their thread for their giveaway prizes. So make sure that you're checking out that. I think it's really cool. And it's a great way to give back to the community as a knitter. So for example, and I love projects like that. My local knitting guild, we have a year-long project every year that it's a constant ongoing project where we accept donated yarn. We knit baby hats, we knit chemo cats, prayer shawls, and blankets for the local hospital, Soin Hospital. So I love community projects like that. I think it's a great way to give back. So keep that knit along in mind. And then in addition to that, I have some coupon codes, and we have some new ones this week. So the first code I have is Faith's Thread, and that's FT First Year 10 for 10% off your purchase of $20 or more. We also have Handmade by Zon, which is a thank you 10. You use that for 10% off your next order. We have a couple new ones. So Fat Girl Sewing, now through August 31st, you can save 10% in her shop by using the code RAVE10, so RAVE 10. So make sure you're checking that out. And then also Kate G Designs No Prisoners Wrap that I talked about earlier. She's offering 25% off until July 31st using the coupon code NEW25. So that's some really exciting coupon codes for you guys. So make sure to take advantage of those. And I am actually also offering a coupon code in my shop, which is 10% off now through the 28th of July, and that is Thank You 10. If you are interested, as I mentioned in my last podcast, I am now dyeing yarn, and I have some project bags in the shop. So if you are interested in purchasing from me, make sure to use that 10% off coupon. In addition, right now, all of my skeins are listed in my shop as dye to order, but I do have my bases in, so they still are technically dyed to order because I haven't dyed them. But I plan this weekend to sit down and dye. So if you've been holding off on purchasing because I don't have a skein ready to ship, I will have skeins ready to ship probably Monday or Tuesday. So keep that in mind. Also, if you have a custom if you have a custom project bag that you want me to make, please contact me. I've done quite a few now. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And that pretty much sums up our shop news as well. So coupon codes and shop news, check. So I have no new Ravelry questions this week. And I am going to do a weekend review. So for those of you that were just sticking around for the knitting content, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week. And for those of you that are interested in what else has been going on this week, please stick around. So, weekend review. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that unfortunately Root Beer has lost her battle with cancer, and we took her in on Saturday. So it's been a very hard week and weekend. I don't really want to get into the details, mainly because I've been grieving, and I'm starting to get to a point where I'm semi-okay, and I don't want to go back to that. So I just want to say the only reason I'm mentioning it is I want to say thank you to everybody for the messages. I've had so many lovely comments on Instagram messages and Ravelry, and I just really appreciate them all, and I really appreciate the support that this community has given me through the last couple months between my surgery and my dog being sick. So it's hard, and it's probably the hardest thing it's definitely the hardest decision we've ever had to make. And I will say that we're continuing to struggle with whether or not we made the right decision at the right time. We have a few regrets, a little bit of guilt, and we're just trying to work through that right now. So again, I just appreciate you guys so much. I don't know that I would have been as okay with the whole situation if I hadn't have had this as an outlet. And again, it just reiterates that this knitting community is just an amazing community, and you meet so many great people, and yeah. So we haven't really been doing a whole lot since then. We've tried to keep ourselves busy and stay out of the house. It's hard to be here. It is. We have 5 animals, but it's like the house feels so empty, even though only one of them's gone. So, which I'm sure if you have animals, you understand. I was talking with Laura from Knit for Brains, and I know that she lost a beloved pet a few months ago, and she went through the same thing, where her pet was also really sick. And we were talking about how, for example, with root beer, I had to give her 5 pills a day. I had to give her medicine 3 times a day. She had to go out every 3 hours. We had to watch her pee and make sure that she was actually urinating. We had to give her dog food twice a day. So she just became a really big part of our daily routine. She wasn't just, you come home, she greets you at the door, and you go for a walk, and you make sure she's fed, and that's it, and you cuddle her throughout the night. It was every couple hours we were interacting with her. So I'm ready to get back into my regular routine, but at the same time, it's going to be a brand new routine, and that's hard. I like to be very structured, and I like to have plans. I keep everything in a notebook planned out, and I like structure, and I like to have plans. So it's been hard to have a different daily routine, but we'll get there. We brought her home today. We had her cremated and brought her home, so she's here. And that's about all I want to say about that. So again, thank you guys so much. That's really all I had this week. I've been watching a few podcasts. I'll get into those next week, but thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you next week. Bye.